It's Daybreak on Arise News. Time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages as they arrive. We begin with this day. And our sister publication says, Ortom, whatever happened at PDP primary is past. Atiku, now my candidate. I'm behind him. What could have happened? Well, we'll get to find out. Federal government procures 6 more attack helicopters as terrorists release 4 Kaduna train passengers, keep 99. Buhari to Amusan, you've left us with unforgettable memories and tears of joy.
All right, let's look at the nation. The nation says panic in Abuja over attack on soldiers by terrorists. It has about 3 riders there. 3 presidential guards wounded. FCT directs coast to coast tomorrow. No cause for alarm, says police. And on the topmast, no knots. That'll be Northern Governor, took money to back Southern President. Tinubu presidential project for launch August 13. 25-year-old Amusan, that's Toby, wins gold for Nigeria. Fantastic. And then if you just get below in that red strip, it says, we never represented Khan at Shetima's presentations. Bishops, find that on page 3. And then, of course, varsity strike, 3-day industrial action begins after nationwide protest, says Labour.
The Punch newspaper this morning leading with ASU strike. NLC solidarity rally holds today. Police warn hoodlums. That's on page 2. Just below that, pictures of the caption, terrorists free 3 Kaduna train passengers as protests continue. Just above the nameplate of the Punch newspaper this morning, the Vice President Osibanjo says 75% of houses in the country are substandard.
The Nation newspaper is leading with panic in Abuja. Okay, let's move to taking the Nation. The Guardian says terrorist ambush guards brigade in Abuja forces closure of schools. ASU Labour mobilizes for nationwide protest and 3-day warning strike. Anxiety over sacking in NNPC as company denies move.
All right, international newspapers. The Guardian first. Let's look at the Guardian. It says pride of Tory leadership rivals trade blows over tax inflation. That is Sunak, Rishi, and Liz. Pride of England. Lionesses set for Euro semi-final, and that's it on the Guardian.
All the Financial Times. Fears of European gas crisis mount as Russia cuts Nord Stream 1 flows. And just below that, homegrown red tape doubles Brexit bill for chemicals companies to £2 billion. And for the press preview, let's bring in Emmanuel Bello, who joins us now from our outside studio. Emmanuel, good morning. Thanks for joining us. Let's take a look at this day newspaper and its leading photo this morning. Toby Amusan, who's making Nigeria proud. She's been on the lips of everybody after she broke that record for 100-meter hurdles. And when she was being given the medal and that little teddy bear, she couldn't hold her tears back when the Nigerian anthem was being played. What are your thoughts on Toby Amusan's performance?
Good morning, Keji. Good morning, Indy, and good morning, Kenneth. Indy, we actually have the same taste in breakfast. Akara and Kamu.
That's a nice one.
All right. Yes, well, it's a bit of a happy moment, a glorious moment when Toby shed those tears. But again, yesterday, a conversation around those tears were generated. Why was she crying? What were those tears? The president exulting, President Buhari, that is exulting in that moment, say that she has left us also with tears of her own, of unforgettable memories, like the president put it. But why was she crying? We've had conversations around that. Even this morning we were still talking about those tears. It could be for all the things that, you know, when those national anthem our national anthem was playing, I mean, Toby could have been crying because of the crisis in her country. Some people have suggested that those tears were not just tears of joy. She was also thinking of the hurdle, you know, that she has to actually overcome here. Remember that last year she had issues with equipment, with, you know, some of the crises that sports people bedevil with. So those tears were not entirely tears of joy. There were also tears, you know, when you hear that national anthem played. But it's also for the rest of us, it was a moment of glory that once again we could hear our national anthem being played elsewhere. But it brings back memory of all that we're dealing with. Most people are also still this morning dealing with some of those kind of issues that, whether you like it or not, is a nation in mourning. So on one hand, yes, there's pride. You and I, Nkechi, will feel the pride of a country that one of us is representing very, a home girl. Pictures of her were released yesterday, when the throwback pictures when she was in secondary school. So she could be any one of us, and making us proud that way. I think it's a moment of, you know, it's actually one, you know, solitary moment when you can beat your chest as a Nigerian and actually take part in that moment of glory. And those tears are also very, very symbolic of the mixed feeling that you have been in Nigeria. On one hand, you see the potential of your country and what this country can do, especially with young people, with striving people, with even the story we had before this newspaper review, the entrepreneurial, you know, skills and patience of our people, the never say die spirit of our people. So you see all of that symbolized in that tears. But of course, you also see the crisis of a country that is grappling with all sorts of crises, whether it's political, religious, or the crisis of security, the types that we're dealing with.
Wow, Emmanuel, so pessimistic this morning. I wanted us to have a little minutes of happiness before we go into the crisis of Nigeria.
It's interesting how you made that connection. Actually, for me, Nkechi, it was a cry of joy.
Yeah, I thought it was tears
She was just crying because she was overwhelmed with the situation. How could she be standing on? In fact, to give you a little bit of where she's coming from, in her text, she said, I may be unknown now, but in future I'll keep working until I get known all over the world. And that just played out.
Exactly.
Amusan Toby is an example of what the Nigerian spirit is.
And if you watch the video, it was at the part where the anthem says, the labors of our heroes past shall never be in vain. And that's when it just all came down. It was just like,
yeah,
oh my God.
Those labels seem to be in vain. You and I will cry over that anytime, any day.
Okay, Kenneth.
Okay, still on this day, right at the top there, it's a federal government procures 6 more attack helicopters as terrorists release 4 Kaduna train passengers, still keeping 39. Of course, the news has gone around already about some of those passengers, at least 4 of them are now free. And they're saying the federal, yesterday we were talking about who to turn to, what next should we do. And some of those passengers have said that the federal government had nothing to do with their release, that they found their way to get in there. What difference will these 6 helicopters make in the fight against insurgency in Nigeria?
Well, if Nkechi was looking for good news, that was a piece of good news yesterday, that 4 out of those 43 people, abducted people were freed. It's a piece of good news. One paper actually having their pictures there. And you remember, he's the lead speaker in the video that we saw during the flogging. He survived it. I think his speech saved him. He was saved by the speech. And now, Kenneth, like you say, they are saying that it's nothing to do with any kind of effort from the federal government. That's indicting on one hand. I mean, it's not an effort. It's almost as if they were, of course, like the story said, they were released. So it's not some kind of effort. It's not as if the security forces got in there and got them out. I mean, that's what a whole lot of people expect. But of course, yesterday Gabashev was saying that what the rest of us, you and I, think could be the mode of rescue, the mode of freeing people, is not what the military is playing with because of collateral damage on one hand, because of the crisis of intelligence and all of that, that it's not as easy as we watch the movies, you know, get those choppers up to the hill or to the forest, bomb those places and free the prisoners. This is not a movie, they say, it is reality. But they're getting more choppers. In the past, we've seen stories of Tucanos being bought, and the question that most people will ask is that, what difference are this making, especially now that those victims are revealing that their rescue sometimes nothing to do with what the federal government is doing. They have to pay. It's almost a privatized kind of situation. It's self-help to get them out. So, but we keep hearing of the funding, because one way the federal government tries to reassure the rest of us is that, look, we're doing a lot of funding in this sector. We're spending money. We're buying the needed equipment. We're getting the necessary intelligence. We're doing the best we can do. And they always come back to tell you that it is also because of their effort, the effort they're making, that we've not seen an escalation or even an all blown out situation. But as I speak to you right now, the reports in the Guardian is suggesting that probably Abuja, the FCT itself, is encircled. They tell you that even in one of the papers saying that the tourists have hosted their flag in one of the suburbs. Yesterday, schools were shut down because of the fears around this, and a paper reporting that everybody in Abuja is gripped in fear. So, with fear. So you see a situation where you cannot point to, the media has not moved anyway in the purchases, in the spending, in the funding. You can't see a visible sign that we're winning. Every other day you hear stories. Of course, there are stories of, terrorists surrendering and some kind of wins around some of the states. But the larger picture of it, the kind of victory that you and I are expecting, the kind of difference the Tucano jets should make and everything, I don't think we've seen that yet. All right.
This day still, I mean, one would have gone to the foreign papers, but this day still, the story, Ortom. Whatever happened at PDP primary is passed. Atiku now my candidate, and behind him. Is this the normal politicians we have in Nigeria, blowing hot and cold? What do you think about that story?
No, it's not blowing hot and cold. That's what politicians do. They don't have permanent friends, like they keep telling you, and they don't have permanent enemies. So a politician, for instance, this morning could be against someone, but later in the day, they've made up. So they look at interest. And I think Ortom has weighed all the side and have decided that, look, what's the war? What is the war? He's made his point already. He said that Wike was disappointed and that Wike, stood with him at a time, and that he cannot be among those people that will betray Wike. Wike himself, of course, saying that, look, he has got something to say. He's threatening that there's something he's going to say. This huge revelation that he has, that when he said it, maybe he says it, something is going to happen to the campaign. And the story is saying that every effort is being made to reach out to him now to say, no, don't say whatever it is you're going to say. I'm curious to know what that big secret is. He said by the time he says that, he will have exposed Atiku, he will have exposed the PDP, and he will have exposed the campaign. But now Atiku himself making efforts. So those are the sort of things that Ortom is saying, that, look, whatever happened at the primaries, is it that Wike has been pacified? Because he is the sort of person that can pacify Wike. Is Wike going to make those revelations? Is Atiku going to reach out to more people? Atiku himself doing his best to reach out to, friends in the APC. He was visited by Murtala Nyako, and he was very happy about that. So these are the sort of things that parties do to, solve their problem internally while they seek to get power. So it's not just a case of blowing hot and cold. It's just raw politics. They rush to power, and they need to mend fences ahead of the campaigns coming up in September.
Yeah, but then Emmanuel, before Kitty comes in, when we talk about leadership, really, and love for the party, do you think Wike should be doing what he is doing if he really loves the party, and you talk about leadership?
Well, you can question his leadership, you can question his style. I mean, we've all questioned that his style before, the way he does these things, the way he talked and everything, which we say we argue that those are the reasons why Wike was actually bypassed in the first place. His style, the way he does his whole thing, those kind of talk about the fact that he's going to expose things. A lot of people think that, well, that is not the way, hardcore politics or even leadership, like you say, that's not the way leadership goes. But then, again, again, if you look at the way everybody wants him back in the party, you will know that, look, he's got some real value, and he has some value. And probably this style of his, the idea of saying that he's going to expose the party, the way he talks and the way he goes about his thing, maybe this is what has kept him. Himself, he said that, look, this style is what has kept him going, you know, in this country. If he didn't talk that way and he didn't behave the way he's behaving, that by now he will have been swallowed in that whole, in the position politics of this country. So, and that's what makes him thick. I think that's why everybody is reaching out to him. So you may query his style, you may not like the way he's doing his own thing, but that's the kind of, that's the kind of vibes, if you like, he brings into politics, and that has made him attractive to some people. Of course, there are people who are turned off by that kind of behavior. But by and large, Wike, whether you like it or not, has become an issue, especially within the PDP. They want him back, and they want him back desperately.
Well, Emmanuel, we'll leave it there. We don't have any time to talk about the NLC Solidarity protest, which begins today. Thank you so much for joining us. That's the press preview.